is WNBC for New York. And now, this is News for New York.
Good evening, I'm Sue Simmons.
And I'm Chuck Scarborough.
A charter bus full of senior citizens skids and crashes tonight.
That bus came very close to slamming into a toll booth on the VERRAZANO Bridge. It was coming from Atlantic City, headed for Forest Hills, when it apparently skidded on the rain-slick roadway and crashed. Emergency teams rushed to the scene to treat dozens of injured passengers, and that's where News 4's Lou Young is right now for us. Lou?
You can see the bus behind me, Chuck. The rain-slick road, as you mentioned, is being blamed for the frightening crash between the bus and part of the toll plaza here on the Staten Island side of the VERRAZANO-NARROWS bridge. The folks on the bus spent the day gambling, and they were happy they didn't leave all their luck at the casinos. The inbound bus was an Atlantic City charter out of Ridgewood, Queens, that picked up city passengers this morning for a day at the casinos. The return trip was routine, we're told, until 8:30 when this happened at the Staten Island side of the VERRAZANO-NARROWS bridge, right at the toll plaza. Ambulance crews, police, and firefighters converged on the scene. Passengers with neck and back injuries were immobilized and carried out as a precaution, even though the injuries, we're told, do not appear to be life-threatening. On the VERRAZANO-NARROWS, Brooklyn-bound traffic doesn't normally stop for these toll plazas. They're closed off. Normally the traffic just blows right through. Somehow this bus missed the lane and ended up straddling the abutment. The passengers say there was no warning.
It was a bump, and then we went flying, and that's all I know.
There was a mix of elderly city residents and European tourists on the bus. Many seemed confused by the activity in the wake of the accident. 75-year-old KATHRYN Ellingson of Woodside told me she broke her nose.
I hit myself on the front seat.
EMS people say that everybody on board the bus was extremely upset when they arrived.
They were all very anxious and nervous. The bus was dark. They were thrown about. They were bleeding from their head and their face, their personal belongings disheveled, and the bus was up in the air at an angle, so everyone was quite excited and scared.
Back live now, the driver was given a breathalyzer test at the scene here. It came up negative. The bus does not appear to have been speeding. You can see it didn't have enough momentum to actually hit the toll booth there. In all, 19 people have been hospitalized with injuries as serious as chest pains, and 30 were treated at the scene and have been taken back to Queens. And of course, the question now is, if they leave the toll situation one way as it is now, when are they going to take down that side of the toll plaza? We're live on Staten Island. Lou Young, News 4 New York. Back to the studio.
Lou, thank you. Tonight, a volunteer fire department on Long Island is burning with shame. 3 members and 1 former colleague are under arrest, charged with starting fires. As Roger Stern reports, the department is owning up to the scandal so it can get on with the business of saving lives.
Smithtown firefighters arrived for a special meeting tonight, having nothing to say on camera about the arrest of their comrades and the damage it could do to the department's reputation.
Sir, can we talk to you for a moment? No comment.
Earlier in the day, police arrested 3 members of the Smithtown department, 22-year-old Kevin Hefferman, a fire department lieutenant, 21-year-old George Miller, a firefighter as well as dispatcher, and 22-year-old Scott Everett. The 3, along with a 4th suspect, a former member, are charged with setting 8 to 10 fires in vacant buildings, causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage and slightly injuring fellow firefighters.
At the root of it is you have some young people who obviously enjoy the excitement of fighting fires. They're trained. There's probably not enough normal activity in the course of normal business. And by increasing the activity, they get to increase their level of fun.
As embarrassing as this may be for the department, the public may be sticking with them.
You can't blame everyone for what a few strange people did.
In fact, police credit the chief of this department with taking what they call the full measure of responsibility in calling in authorities and cooperating with them, knowing it might lead to the arrest of some of his members.
Got to clean up the house.
It must be very painful to you.
It's tough. It's difficult.
Roger Stern, News 4, Smithtown.
Got to clean up.
Well, tonight, City College professor Leonard Jeffries is savoring a $400,000 jury award, but his fight isn't over. Jeffries had sued for $25 million. Nonetheless, he says his award sends a message to other schools. Earlier, the same jury found that Jeffries' freedom of speech had been violated when he was stripped of his Black Studies chairmanship because of an address he gave that criticized Italians and Jews. Next, the judge will decide whether Jeffries can get his chairmanship back. And former schoolteacher Carolyn Warmus was back in Westchester County Court today. She wants a new murder trial. Last year, Warmus was convicted of killing her lover's wife. But now her lawyers claim prosecutors withheld crucial pieces of evidence. Warmus is serving 25 years to life in prison.
Family in Brooklyn is reeling from a tragedy that has left them homeless and grieving. This morning, fire swept through their Red Hook apartment, taking the life of 5-month-old Sabrina Padilla and critically injuring 3 other family members. 100 firefighters were on the scene. 10 of them were injured. The baby's aunt had to be held back from entering the building when she arrived at the scene. Out of the horror came an attempt at heroism.
I tried to climb it through the fire escape, but the flames were too big.
Grieving relatives were only able to save a set of photographs from the burning home. All else was lost.
And more tragedy in Manhattan tonight as a little girl fights for her life. She was hit by a car that jumped the curb. 1 minute, 7-year-old Sonia Margolis was walking on Broadway at 78th Street, heading for school. And a moment later, a car jumped the curb after it was hit in a rear-end collision, slamming into her. She is now in St. Luke's Hospital with critical head injuries. And a week after a 16-year-old boy was arrested and charged after taking an A train and driving it from Washington Heights to Queens, we have another such case, but this time it is 2 Metro-North Railroad executives in trouble for doing just that. The unlicensed operators reportedly kicked the engineer out of the cab of the train and drove a locomotive with employees aboard from Stamford to New York on April Fool's Day. The 2 men have been suspended.
Tomorrow will mark an anniversary a lot of people will never forget. 1 year ago, Amy Fisher shot Mary Jo Buttafuoco, triggering a year of screaming headlines, lurid stories, and TV movies. 1 year later, Fisher is in jail. Joy Buttafuoco could end up there, and Mary Jo is afraid to answer the doorbell.
I always ask who it is now. And you know what scares me the most? Young teenage girls.
Mary Jo says getting shot was the easy part. In the year just passed, prosecutors let Amy Fisher plead guilty to a charge that could get her out in 3 years. Those same prosecutors said they would investigate Joey Buttafuoco, then dropped the investigation, and then reopened it. He's now charged with statutory rape, sodomy, and endangering the welfare of a child. Through it all, Mary Jo has insisted her husband is innocent.
There's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of lying, a lot of covering up. I never had any idea that it was this bad.
Joey Buttafuoco won't talk about his year in the spotlight on his lawyer's orders, but the family body shop has become a local tourist attraction.
It's been a rough year, one of the worst years I had in my life. Suffered 2 heart attacks, slowed down business. Business has picked up, back to normal, thanks to Bob, my son Bob. And we're right on track going back to normal.
As for the Fisher family, Amy will spend this anniversary in the state prison in Albion. Her mother, Roseanne, has separated from Amy's father, Elliot, who now lives out of town. Only a few people have profited, including Eric Nyberg, Amy's high-profile attorney. He's become a celebrity because of his infamous client.
If I have the occasion to fly someplace, it's very nice because I find that the people behind the ticket counters have given me on a number of occasions complimentary first-class seats. Why? I haven't the faintest idea.
Tomorrow, a judge will rule on a defense request to excuse all male judges from the Buttafuoco case. In her book, Fisher claims to have had sex with an unidentified judge.
Well, a controversial move on abortion tonight as we continue for you on News 4. Exclusive information on what Planned Parenthood is teaching that many medical schools won't. You may be amazed at how a young girl avoided tragedy after falling on the tracks with the freight train at her heels.
Also, it's the final act for Marla Maples on Broadway. And Sharon Stone talks sex scenes with our KATHRYN KINLEY. Plus, some Cheers cast members tell what their favorite episodes were. Al continues his special series and also has our weather.
That's right, Sue. Now, of course, a little bit later, Len's going to tell you what happened with the Gardens with the Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets. But tomorrow, mix of clouds and sun going through our weather basket. We'll tell you which one scores more points when News 4 at 11 continues. 101, 102.
I'd like to introduce you to one of the stars of the Toyota Comedy Festival, the Toyota Camry. Now, I've never done a commercial before, and after this one, you'll see why. But these are beautiful, and they're quiet. If you really want a quiet car, why don't you get your wife her own? To celebrate the Comedy Festival, Toyota's giving a great lease deal. So if you're waiting for the right time to buy the cars that outsell Ford and Honda in the tri-state area, it's time. You gotta love what Toyota does for you.
It was a fishing trip that began 35 years ago. Back then, he couldn't really imagine retiring. And yet, he began building long-term with Kemper Mutual Funds. Investing with Kemper is an opportunity to have something worth passing down to the next generation.
Let's give him a chance to grow.
Okay, Grandpa.
We're building tomorrows today.
Kemper Mutual Funds. Ask your financial advisor or call this number.
Planned Parenthood of New York is about to do what many medical schools will not: teach doctors everything they need to know about abortions. News 4 learned this information exclusively today. Most MDs receive only limited abortion training now. Planned Parenthood is opening the nation's first private large-scale abortion training program for doctors, and they don't mind the controversy it has created.
Many doctors in this country who are capable of performing abortions as possible, and to get them to add it to their practice.
Because they can't get them to do it in medical school, then they want to pressure them into doing it so they can increase their multi-million-dollar business of killing babies.
The program begins in 2 weeks. It will train about 40 doctors a year.
Tonight there was one lucky little girl in Connecticut. Imagine this: a freight train ran over her and she lived to tell the tale with barely a scratch. Nicole Bernier was playing on a railroad trestle on Sunday with two friends, and one of the friends shows how Nicole fell. Her foot caught in the tracks as a 12-car freight train roared right over her.
She went like that. And then
I just stayed right down, and then it went over me, but I passed out right under there.
Well, she emerged with only a scratch on her leg, but scared to face her mom, who told her to stay off the tracks. Very good advice.
Well, time for a little star treatment when we come back. The steamy, sexy, sultry star of Sliver.
Sharon Stone sits down for a candid one-on-one with KATHRYN, KINLEY. And Lem with playoff fever.
Well, Chuck, coming up, another one of those huge sports nights as the Knicks try to eliminate the Charlotte Hornets in Game 5. Sal Marciano will have a live report for us from the Garden. Hockey, the Islanders in Montreal, guess what? Overtime in Game 2. Mets and Yanks both in action, and Grandpa Larry as well. All coming up tonight in sports on News 4 at 11.
In life, there's the one you really want and the one you settle for. The dream and reality. But you don't have to settle for less. Even when it comes to computers. At Nobody Beats the Whiz, choose an IBM PS1 with color monitor and over $400 worth of popular software from among our wide selection of affordably priced PS1s. The IBM PS1, the one you really want that you can really have. At Nobody Beats the Whiz.
The engineers of Mitsubishi have some remarkable ways to measure quality, to check and recheck for even the slightest flaw. Because the truest measure of a luxury performance sedan is not only what it comes with, but also what it comes without. The 1993 Diamante by Mitsubishi. Now lease a Diamante ES for as little as $299 a month.
Oh, miss, my friend would like some salsa, please. And a straw.
Some people will do anything to bring home the great taste of Chi-Chi's salsa. What they don't know is they can simply buy it at their grocer's.
More salsa?
Chi-Chi's, the only leading salsa from a real Mexican restaurant.
Oh, look, a friend has joined us. Some hot salsa, please.
Chi-Chi's. Check out our entire line.
If we want you to make Resort your first choice, then we got to give you a choice. When you arrive, choose our South Park garage or our valet parking. Instead of one new production show, this year we're creating two. Instead of one award-winning restaurant, you have your choice of 3. One thing we don't give you a choice about is service. We only give you the best.
Oh, darling, would you please take Mr. Birdie to my suite?
You've got to come out to Resorts.
Well, tonight marked the final act for Marla Maples on Broadway. Maples, the star of the Will Rogers Follies, is handing over her cowgirl hat in exchange for a baby bottle. Today, Lisa Nemi, the wife of Dirty Dancer Patrick Swayze, was named as Maples' replacement. Marla and fiancé Donald Trump are expecting a child later this year.
Her new movie is called Sliver, but most of us came to know her in the steamy film Basic Instinct. She is Sharon Stone, and she sat down to talk with KATHRYN, KINLEY about her new movie and bearing all on the screen.
Yeah,
she talked to you about.
Yes, she did, but she won't talk about her personal life, her impending marriage, and the accusations that she's a homewrecker, or that the now infamous interrogation scene from Basic Instinct. But she will tell us that her new character is a far cry from the kinky, ice-pick-wielding novelist of her last blockbuster movie. A film called Sliver is another psychosexual thriller. Emphasis on sexual thanks to torrid love scenes with heartthrob William Baldwin. Stone's character in this one is a normal but lonely woman who's forced to deal with sex, murder, and a dirty little crime called voyeurism.
When you're home and alone, have you ever spied something interesting through the lens of a telescope?
Well, I don't have a telescope, but when I used to live in New York in these high-rises, you could see people in their windows across the way, and sometimes it was just horrifying.
Are you afraid of being typecast? I mean, maybe producers and directors would say, hey, we'll get that Sharon Stone. We know she'll do a nude scene for us. And
Not really,
like
because now with the enormous success of Basic Instinct, my box office viability has permitted me the choice to do what I want.
How do you stand there with all of your clothes off in front of Billy Baldwin and do a scene like that?
Well, you know, I mean, you stand there with all your clothes off in front of someone, and it seems normal to you because it's appropriate for the situation. When I'm doing a love scene in a movie, it's appropriate for the situation, so I feel the same way you do.
Did you all get along? Rumor had it you had a little friction there.
In the 21 movies I've done, the rumors have had it that I've done everything from stand on my head and wear bunny ears, you know, to run through, you know, breaking up the furniture. It's all just baloney.
The definition of hot, that's someone who can make close to $4 million for a film, and that's Sharon Stone. The film she's working on right now is with the equally as hot Richard Gere. But don't get all aflutter out there. No sex scenes in this one. It's okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Well, is your favorite laugh from 11 years of Cheers the same as some of the stars? Up next, Al Roker's special report, where these lovable barflies talk about their most memorable moments.
And then Al switches to the weather map for our forecast. But first, your travel map.
When you use the MCI card to call someone, even your own home, you save money, which really adds up. And with the MCI Friends and Family card, you can save up to 26%. Are you tired of being assigned hard-to-remember numbers by some phone company? Use your own number with the MCI card. That's a whole lot easier.
What do all these police officers have in common?
My name is Patrolman James New, and I was shot once Bob Parcell, and I was shot right above the heart.
Every year, more police officers are shot.
Point-blank range.
Yet fewer die, thanks to an innovative DuPont fiber called Kevlar in bullet-resistant vests.
Tina Dillard, and I was shot twice at close range.
Being a police officer is always going to be dangerous, but it doesn't have to be fatal. DuPont, better things for better living.
With all the performance and reliability of a true Hewlett-Packard LaserJet, the new HP LaserJet 4L easily surpasses other low-priced laser printers for the breakthrough price of just $849. The new HP LaserJet 4L printer. Now's the time to make the leap. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
The complete car cost guide studied over 500 cars to determine which offered the best overall values. Which did they choose? The Volvo 240 wagon, the Volvo 940 turbo sedan, the Volvo 940 turbo wagon, and now Volvo has made them even better values. The Volvo Best Value Program, now until May 31st. Call us for a dealer nearest you.
You are here. He has the traveler's checks here. Think about that. Now think about this. American Express traveler's checks for two. The only checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
The doors of the Cheers bar will close for a final time on Thursday night, leaving behind 11 years of memorable moments and lots of laughs. Tonight, in a News 4 Extra, Al Roker joins the cast in some memories. Al?
Well, you know, Chuck, actually, you don't even have to be in the cast to have a lot of happy memories about this barroom comedy. All you have to do is be lucky enough to step through the door, and you'll find a lot of nostalgia on tap. Welcome to Cheers, America's favorite bar. Every Thursday, millions of us come to the place where everybody knows your name. For 11 years, Sam and the crew have been here. Well, tonight, they look back on their favorite moments at Cheers.
Why am I coming back here?
Yeah, you got a big mouth, Clayton.
Hey, happens to be right, you know. Yeah, it's a genetic quirk in the Clavin family that we all have 2 extra teeth. You see, that's the only way that we can prove that we are the rightful heirs to the Russian throne.
Hello in there, Cliff. Tell me, what color is the sky in your world?
What's been great about Fraser is he always has an open mind, even if he seems like a pompous fool at times. He does learn, so he's always been able to change.
You've had some great moments. Are there any?
Playing the clown.
It may sound surprising, but Ted Danson said he couldn't pick one memory. Neither could George Wendt. Some of them told me they just loved every single moment, and it was just too difficult to try to pick one single Cheers moment.
Well, there were too many good ones. There really were. That's hysterical, seriously.
But just about everybody talked about the food fight.
Yeah. I can see why.
And that's happened in the newsroom a lot of times, too.
Well, occasionally.
Yeah, well, there you go. But no fighting over the weather. We had some showers today. We've got some more on tap. All in all, though, things not too bad. As you check it out, right now, 54 degrees, and we have cloudy skies, a few light showers around the region. And as you'll see, our current conditions, northeasterly winds, Central Park, 7 miles per hour, relative humidity, 90%, barometer, 29.79. It is falling at this hour. High for the day, 71. The overnight low, current temperature, 54. There's your sunrise and sunset. Check out the radar scan from the last 3 hours, and you can see an area of precipitation now working its way toward us. Things, though, kind of clear right now. As we look at the live Doppler radar, you will see that we do, in fact, have clear skies, or I should say dry skies right now, a little drizzle here and there. But for the most part, we've got another area of precipitation working its way in here, and what that means is we are going to see the leading edge of a warm front push through, then a cold front behind that. That may trigger off some heavier thunderstorms later tomorrow, but until then, just kind of spitting a little bit of rain out there with variably cloudy skies tomorrow. For tonight, though, scattered showers, very scattered, not a big deal. Overnight lows, low to mid-50s for those low temperatures. In the morning, temperatures rise up mid to upper 50s with, again, mostly cloudy skies, scattered sprinkles here and there. As the day progresses, you might actually start to see a little bit of bright cloudiness, variably cloudy skies, scattered showers, but later on in the afternoon as things heat up and then that cold front moves in, we could be looking at some temperatures that get up into the low 70s, upper 60s, with some thunderstorms and some of those heavy at times moving through the area. Now, the 5 days ahead for you, as we move through Thursday, we're looking for fair skies, temperature of about 69 degrees, so not all that bad. Friday, variably cloudy, and 66. Saturday, variably cloudy, scattered showers possible, 64 degrees, and on Sunday, variably cloudy and a temperature of 66 degrees. So looks like we have something to cheer about in our weather as we head on toward, you like that, head on toward the weekend.
No, the cheer,
didn't like that at all.
The cheer transition is...
It was pretty weak.
No, I love it. I love everything about you. Well, I don't know.
This is getting really sweet.
Thank you, Al. We must move along now.
Yeah, we do, because sports is ahead. The Knicks are taking a swat at the Hornets tonight. Pat Riley's boys trying to charge toward a playoff battle with the Bulls.
Also, lending a helping hand through the sound of music.